Hey folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. This video is going to be a little different. So we got us a whiskey barrel and a couple of beers here. And this whiskey barrel is full of bees. So you see the screen right here, it's just covered with them. So last Thursday or Friday at work, a friend of mine, an old friend I used to work with, he sent me an email saying, hey man, I was telling someone I had bees in my whiskey barrel in my backyard, and someone that I knew told him, hey, call Darren Jerome. He might come get them for you. So he sent me an email and sent me a picture of it, and I was like, yeah, sure, I could do that. Looks pretty easy, right? So I'm pretty picky about removals I do because I don't need bees. I've got plenty of bees. I can use a queen right now, but so to go into someone's house, cut out drywall, do the whole Jeff Horshoff dirt rooster thing, I'm not into that. That's a lot of work and a lot of time, which I don't have a lot of time. I don't mind the work, but plus I'm not insured going in someone's house. I might cut a wire and burn their whole house down, you know, so that wouldn't be good. But so I do cutouts for people that I'm good friends with, and I know they probably wouldn't sue me if I burned their house down. But anyway, in fact, I did one a week ago. But anyway, I took a piece of plywood up there with me to put under the bottom in case the bottom was rotted out, and it was sitting on concrete, so the bottom is good. It's all solid. All I had to do was staple this screen across this hole right here, and it's contained them. So it's the next day. I went and picked it up yesterday evening. I tried to be real careful with it, you know, because I'm pretty sure this is a new hive, and the comb is likely on this lid, and it's going to be really soft. And I noticed yesterday evening some liquid around, signs of it around the bottom, so maybe I did knock a comb off, or maybe just nectar had flung out of there. So yeah, so I'm going to put a board across the top and screw these all together, this lid, and then I'll cut it off and try and get this out of here. And they said they'd like their barrel back if they could, and I'm going to try and preserve it and get it out of there, and try and lift this up and set it on a couple sawhorses. Before I get started, I'll probably put my bee vac on here and vacuum up these bees right here. But it's nice and cool this morning. Oh, the story behind the beer. So he's a home brewer, and he's been brewing beer since the 90s. So he gave me a couple of his bottles of beer that he brewed. So we might try these after a while. We better start them after, because he says they're over 10% alcohol. So we better save these for when the job's over. So I'll get you a close up of this and we'll get started. Okay, the whiskey barrel's in pretty good shape. Here's the top here. I'm gonna try and put a board across all these slats. They may be connected underneath, I don't know, but I'm gonna get screws in all this, and then I'll cut all the way around, and I'll lift this up and try and get that out in one piece, and that way I can put it back on there for them. And here's the entrance down here. So I just stapled a piece of screen over it, and you can see them in there. They're wanting out. So it's nice and cool today. It's in the 70s and overcast. We had rain last night, and I stored it last night in the barn there in case it got hot today. They'd be in the shade. But let's get going on this thing. Okay, we got the top loose, so I can lift it on both sides. And man, there's something weird about that. I don't know if I was hitting nails or if maybe there's a board underneath this. But I went through, well, I had a real skinny blade to start, and then I switched to this, it was a wood blade. I switched to a metal cutting blade in case there was like some screws or nails in there. Busted that sucker. And went to another metal blade. So now going to put my bee vac down here and undo this screen and start vacuuming these bees right here. So the queen shouldn't be in this group here. These are bees wanting to get out and forage. So hopefully the comb's not laying down in the bottom. And let me vacuum these for a little bit, and then we'll lift this out. And I got a couple of little sawhorses here, and I'll set that on the sawhorses and go from there. Okay, I've been vacuuming about half an hour, and I got quite a few bees out of there. These are going to be all the foragers. So they mostly went up to the top, but it was about this full of bees. They're all spread out now. So we'll go ahead and see if we can get the top off now. I went ahead and sealed that off. So we've knocked the population down quite a bit. So it looks like it's going to be maybe 4 or 5 comb hive. It's not a real big one, I don't think, but we shall see. Okay, here's the plan. We're going to lift this up, and I'm going to set it right here on these sawhorses. And I got the camera down so you'll be able to see up underneath there. I won't be able to see it till I get it set over there. And hopefully we got some nice combs here and they didn't fall off and we messed up this hive. Even if they did fall down in there, we can recover them and get them rubber banded in the frames. And instead of just cutting them off here, hopefully they're not too hurt if they did fall down. But let's get in there and see what we got. Here we go. Now, looks like we got some comb falling off in the bottom. And it's wet down there, so any comb that's down there is not going to be any good. So here's what we're looking at. Got some decent comb there, still left, didn't fall off. And here's what it looks like in the barrel. So we did get a couple fall down there on the bottom, 3. It's got water down in there, so that's going to kill any of those larvae. We got a few here on the side. Oh, my zoom went crazy. So there's a little bit there on the side. So hopefully that queen is up on the comb, and we'll get her in a clip. So this is a lot of larvae here. They're all going to be dead. That's not even worth saving. So what I'm concerned about is our queen may have been on this brood frame when it fell, or this brood comb, and drowned her. If I'd known that had water in it, I'd have drilled a hole in the bottom before we got it out of there. Okay, we've got our serrated knife here. We're going to cut these off and get them rubber banded into the frames. I'm going to use this as a table here. Well, my camera stopped recording. I don't know why. Here's our queen. Having trouble getting that comb. It's so new. It just doesn't want to. You can't handle it. It just falls apart. Boy, that was basically it. There's just these little pieces left. So 2 good brood frames fell down into the water in the barrel. So my camera stopped. I was getting that brood frame in right there, just having the hardest time. It just falls apart in your hands. It's like cotton candy. And here's some honey. I cut this honey off of the top because it was heavy, making it fall apart. They're not even gonna be able to use that. It's so bad. Let me try and get this comb here onto another frame. So you want to make the bottoms flat like that. Get that honey, heavy honey off the top of it. There we go. And I did it upside down. Barely got it in there. It's falling apart. Okay. Let me see what's left over here in the barrel on the side. Might be able to use some of that. I usually have a little table with me. I should go get it, but we got that in there. Let's try and get some of this in there. This came from the bottom. That's honey. Might try this. So we'll get some frames from another hive and boost them up with that. I got those failed nukes over there. We can use that. And get that queen in there in a clip and set it up here, and they should be good. Okay. I'm gonna put that honey over in this other side, and then I think we're gonna call it. That other comb is just too fragile and too far gone. Okay. That's just not worth saving. I could try. I'll put it right here. There we go. Pretty nasty stuff. Okay, we're going to put our queen in this box in this clip. I'm going to go get a couple other frames out of a nuke. Okay, I got 2 frames here, all drawn out. Here's a nice frame that's empty that needs laid in so that queen can start laying. And right next to them, I'll put this frame of bee bread, pollen, and honey. And that'll set them up good. Okay, so now I need to clean up this barrel, get it emptied out, and get it out of the scene here so they don't see it, and clean up this comb. queen's right here, so all the bees will start migrating in here, and I'll just leave this box here, and they'll all wind up in here this evening, and I can relocate it where I want to put it permanently. So right now, just a cleanup mode and try and get this cleaned up to kind of mitigate some of all the confusion in the air from all the bees here. So we'll bucketize this wet honey over in a bucket, and I'll just move it away from here, and the bees can feed on it and clean up what they want. Okay, so once all this gets cleaned up, they're going to find their queen in there. All these bees are going to work their way in here, and I'll shake that the field bees off in here right now. So here's our field bees. Okay, that's it for now. Just gonna let this calm down, and we'll come back in an hour or so and check it out. Okay, it's been about 3 hours since we put all this together. So you can see not much going on out here anymore, and bees are all moved in there. Looks like they got a wasp hanging out, or maybe that's a murder hornet. So I need to get a better top on this. So the whiskey barrel's over here, and they were going in there a little bit and cleaning on it some. It's pretty well cleaned out. This all came out of the bottom of that barrel. That's a charred wood from the inside of the keg. So what I decided to do with this hive, you know, it's not very big and they don't have a lot of comb in there. So I'm going to combine it with one of my nukes that's back over this direction. That is queenless. So that nuke there on the end, there's a double-decker nuke right there, and just on the opposite side of it is a single deep nuke, and that's queenless. So I'm going to put it right on there. I'm going to do a newspaper combine, and that'll get them acclimated to that new position over there instead of over here where they were on this barrel. And this evening at dusk, I'll when they're all inside, I'll move it over there and do a newspaper combine, and I'll video that. Okay, we're over here, this nuke number 32. This is the one I took the 2 frames out of to put into the cutout because they didn't have much comb. So I'm going to replace those 2 slots here with some frames that have a little bit of drawn comb on them, and get those in there. And then we'll bring that hive over here, the cutout from the whiskey barrel. The sun's setting, so they're pretty much settled in, and we'll get them over here. I'm just going to set that box right on here and do a newspaper combine. Got my paper right here. It's not really newspaper, but it'll do the trick. Make a few little perforations in here. Okay, let's go get that other hive now. Bring it over here. Okay, they seem to make the trip okay. So I'm looking down on here for the queen. And the reason is, I was working on that whiskey barrel, getting it back together so I could return it. And I had to get the lid moved, and it was kind of under this hive. So I kind of held this hive with one hand, lifted it up, was moving the whiskey barrel out from underneath at the lid, and over it went. And I couldn't catch it. And it fell off and hit the ground on its side. And I ran and put my bee suit on real quick and went to the queen clip, and the queen wasn't in it. So she is not in her clip anymore. So she's contained in this box. Okay, so there we go. Whiskey barrel cut out complete. So we'll give them a few days to work their way through that paper, then I'll come check it out, and we'll likely combine this onto the queenless hive number 13, and then that'll be a double deep 10 once we get this on there, and that'll take care of that one. So that'll take care of all of our queenless hives that I'm aware of if this works out. So we still need to take care of this one here, but we'll just put in on some smaller queen right hives to take care of that. So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and time to go have one of those cold beers now. So we'll catch you on the next one. Be sure and subscribe before you leave, and y'all take care.